The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Hey, what is up, YouTube fam? It's Dupree, aka Darth Hater, here with some brand new fresh Star Wars news. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and also check out my last video because it greatly helps out the channel. So let's get into it. So it would seem that Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, has teased the introduction of the High Republic era in an upcoming live-action project. The High Republic is an era of time in the Star Wars galaxy that has been set roughly 200 years before the Phantom Menace. The galaxy is at peace with the Jedi Order at its very height as its self-proclaimed peacekeepers. This time period has mainly been reserved for the publishing side of Lucasfilm. However, with the first phase of books and comic books already released, and the second only just beginning, a set of stories that take place even further back in the timeline. Now the eventual debut of these stories across the other mediums has been teased, so it would seem that the Direct got their hands on The Art of Star Wars, The High Republic Volume 1, and within it the era's eventual depiction outside of publishing, namely into a live-action content, was teased, alongside some other inspirations while inventing this whole new world. When it comes to transitioning off the page onto screen, the book teased that if the High Republic initiative was successful, it would open up to new storytelling opportunities beyond the page. It says here, if the High Republic gamble succeeded, the story anchoring the new interconnective multimedia initiative stood up to open up to new storytelling opportunities beyond the page, allowing publishing to evolve into an incubator for new chapters and era that could later appear in games or even on screen. A role reversal for the department typically tasked with sustaining interest between tentpole projects and big screen movies that nevertheless honor the genesis of all stories in film, games, and television. In reference to this era's potential on-screen future, Kathleen Kennedy simply teased, "It all starts with the word." Michael Singland, Lucasfilm's publishing creative director, noted that he wanted to have their own corner of the galaxy to create new stories and add to the Star Wars mythos. He said, "For the scope of what we want the High Republic to be, our own corner of the galaxy, the idea of something that was going to be a new yet authentical Star Wars, something that could be shared from generation to generation. We knew that we had to bring people in who had very different points of view and very different strengths." He said, "We know that we wanted to craft it in such a way that it would feel like Star Wars, and to do that we needed to dissect Star Wars. We know what the creator George Lucas put into it, what he was pulling from, and what inspired him, but what inspires us. A key concept that eventually landed was how the beautiful thing about Star Wars was not all explained. A key concept they eventually landed on was, the beautiful thing about Star Wars is that it's not all explained. It was very important for us to look at it objectively and say, okay, what do we love? What do we want to see? What doesn't work? What are we not seeing enough of? What can be done better? What we do not touch?" One of those other important things was to keep that mystery. The beautiful thing about Star Wars is that it's not all explained. Growing up, filling those elements was up to me. Another big focusing point, according to Lucasfilm Story Group's senior creative executive Pablo Hidalgo, was asking the question, what is the galaxy worth fighting for? He said, "What is the galaxy worth fighting for? People say we want to restore the Republic. What is the idea?" High Republic author Justina Ireland noted that the world hadn't seen this Republic that everybody had already raved about. She said, "Everyone's always talking in such glowing terms about the Republic. It had always been a functional government that people enjoyed, felt safe under at some point, but we hadn't seen it yet. But how do we still make it interesting? Because when things are going well, that's usually when it's the least interesting, right? Fans already know when they'll see the High Republic for the first time outside of the books and comic books, which will be in the Acolyte, the Disney Plus series that is currently in production. While a release date isn't known yet, a 2024 release is most likely. And yes, the series is technically the High Republic. It takes place towards the very end of the era as the dark side emerges again, so it won't necessarily be the same characters and storylines from the current books. In fact, it could be many years after. At one point in time, many thought Jude Law's Skeleton Crew was going to be the first High Republic show, but it was later revealed not to be the case, instead taking place around the same time as The Mandalorian. There's unlimited potential in the High Republic era, and Lucasfilm should absolutely focus on finding ways to expand the storylines, opportunities in other mediums. In addition to The Acolyte, it would also be great to see a set of movies focused on that same timeline, or even a Clone Wars style animated show. On the publishing side of Star Wars, the High Republic stories just started their second phase of storytelling. The third and final set, as of now, of stories doesn't currently have a release date, but it finally will get back to all the cliffhangers left where the first phase left off in Fallen Star and Midnight Horizon. Okay, so that's very interesting. I always thought when they first came out and first started talking about this whole High Republic multimedia project, I was gonna think it was gonna be something kind of akin to Shadows of the Empire from the 90s, if you guys remember. Back in the 90s, specifically 1996, that all happened. Shadows of the Empire was this huge, big multimedia project by Lucasfilm. It was everything but a movie. You had the books, the comic books, the toys, you had a video game, you even had a soundtrack, but you had no movie, and it focused on all of like this happening right in between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Now with Disney owning Lucasfilm, they could do this and more. They're already coming out with that show, Star Wars Acolyte, like they said. They were trying to come out with that game, Star Wars Eclipse, but that's been pushed back for a few years. They already have the comic books and the books. The next best thing would be a movie or a TV show, or even a cartoon show like they just said in the Clone Wars style. But I feel like there needs to be more of a ramp up to this whole High Republic thing and idea. This is cool, but for me, I need a little bit familiar, and just seeing Yoda in this, isn't really just gonna cut it for me. I need something a little bit more, but that's just me, and I know that's not everyone, but that's just how I feel. But maybe with one of these shows or games or something that would come out soon, or maybe even with his art book, maybe it might rekindle my interest and I'll start back. We'll see. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys are hyped about the possibility of TV show or even a movie in the High Republic era. Let me know you guys' thoughts down below in the comments. And as always, if you guys like this video, please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell to get notifications from my latest videos. That would be great. Anyway, guys, take care. See you in the next one. May the force be with you. Bye.